All right, we've got about a minute before we'll get started.
Someone's returning from workers' comp.
Yeah,
Still have follow-ups for therapy.
right.
Should that be on our, should they be doing their on duty and getting paid? Or should that be on
Were
their?
they released from workers?
They were released from, they were released from work, continuing therapy, part of the treatment. What's that?
We'll talk about it.
All right, I have 7 o'clock, and not seeing Father Sterling from St. Barb's, I will go ahead and do a quick prayer. In the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Lord, may your goodness and love be present among us today. Come bless our gathering with unity, hope, and vision. Lord, we pray for unity. Build in us a deep respect for one another, so that your community may be one. Lord, we pray for hope. Come stir our hope within our hearts and renew our faith. Lord, we pray for vision. May our vision fill our lives as we seek to reveal your love. We ask this in the glory of your name. Amen. All right, with that then, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. This is the regular meeting, October 2nd, 2018. I'd like to ask that we please rise and say a pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Mrs. Hoffman, could you please take roll call?
Mr. Burke? Here. Mr. Cahill? Ms. Kyle? Here. Mr. Skidmore? Here. Ms. Sudkamp? Here. Ms. Cahill? Here. Mr. Montgomery? Here. Ms. Skidmore? Here. Ms. Pitts?
Here.
Mr. Nicely? Here. Ms. Fetty? Here. Mr. Blankenship?
All right, we have a quorum. Council, you've received a copy of the minutes of the September 4th, 2018 regular council meeting and the September 18th, 2018 special council meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to be made at this time? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion that we adopt as written. Motion by Mrs. Kyle, second by Mr. Montgomery. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. All right, motion carried. It wasn't a very exciting one, though. All right. Now we'll have the approval of the agenda for this evening. You received a copy of the agenda, and it's on the screen for tonight's meeting. Are there any additions to be made? All right, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion that we adopt as written. Motion by Mrs. Fetty, second by Mr. Blankenship. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. All right, motion carried. All right, so then we'll move on to the special presentations. The first one we have this evening is our business spotlight. We've got Mr. Ryan Hunt from Toyota Boshaku here this evening. Welcome.
Thank you. So my name is Ryan Hunt. I'm the General Manager of Accounting and Finance and Corporate Strategy at Toyota Boshaku America, which we lovingly refer to as TBA because it's just easier to say. So I want to thank the mayor and the council members for inviting us to present today, and excited to be here. So I'm going to give you a little background about our company. So first, our concept. So we're an automotive parts supplier, and what we make are the interior, most of the interior parts for Toyota vehicles that you drive every day. So if you're sitting in a seat or you're opening your door to get out of your car, those are parts that are created by us. So even though we don't have any direct interaction with the customer who actually buys the car, everything that we make is directly impacting the customer. So everything that we design, we try to take into account what the customer and what the consumer wants in the product when they're driving around in their vehicle. So two key themes out of this. So of course we want to make sure the customer's satisfied, and we're trying to pursue the highest quality. So from our planning stage all the way to our manufacturing stage, building quality into our product to make sure that you don't have a problem when you're driving down the road in your seat or your door or any other part that we make. And then the other item, of course, is safety. So we want everybody that's using our product to be safe and to have comfort worldwide as they're using our products. So we're also definitely into innovation and looking for the best way to do things. So there's a fancy word here, Genshi Genbutsu. It's a Japanese word, and what it means is to go and see. And what we use the word to mean is that you don't ever assume that you know what the problem is. You go to the source, you go to the root, and you resolve the problem by looking and studying. We're also in the process of taking a medium to long-term perspective. So obviously, if you're familiar with the automotive industry, you know that a lot of things are changing and a lot of things are on the horizon with autonomous vehicles and electric vehicles and things like that. And we're definitely involved in looking into that and how it's going to impact. If you think about if your car can drive itself, then what kind of seat do you want, or what kind of doors, or what do you want the vehicle to be able to do for you as it's driving, because you don't have to anymore. And then, of course, we're very concerned about the environment. So manufacturing, of course, can have a big impact on the environment. And some of the things that we've done, we've actually, some of the material that we use for our silencers to help the car be quieter is actually made of a grass that grows. It's called kanaf. And our urethane process to build the foam pads that you're sitting on, we also used like castor oil approach for that. So we're a global company, so our parent company, Toyota Boshiku Corporation, is located in Korea, Japan. And then we have 4 hubs or regional hubs that we call them. So we have one TBA, which is us, of course, in Erlanger. Then we have one for the Asian region, one for China, and then one that covers Europe and Africa. So the concept here is that we all are working together as a hub. TBJ, or Toyota Boshiku, our parent company, is giving us information, but we're also feeding it back to them, to the specific needs of the U.S. market and the North American market that we do business in. So product lineup, sorry about that. We make, so the top that scrolled off there was seats. So that's our primary product. We make seats for various cars. We also make interior and exterior parts, so the door trims, seat fabrics, the headliner, if you're, what's above you when you're in the car, the carpet, so literally almost everything that's inside the car. And then we make unit components that go in various engine parts, so air induction systems, intake manifolds, and then air filters of various sorts. So our history, in 1918, we were founded by Sakichi Toyoda. So Sakichi was he founded Toyota Boshiku as a company that was in a textile business. So he had watched his mom was using a hand loom and realized and watched how difficult it was for her. And so he actually invented what's called the G automatic type loom. And from that basically launched the whole industry of automated weaving in the nation of Japan. So Toyota Boshiku is actually the oldest of the Toyota companies. So many people think, of course, Toyota Motor is the biggest, but it all started as Toyota Boshiku. So we're celebrating 100 years this year since our founding, which is very exciting. But we don't say it's our 100-year anniversary, because you can see on the bottom here we've kind of gone in and out of different organizations over the last few years. And then in 2004, 3 companies merged and created what is today known as Toyota Boshiku Corporation. So moving on, so that's more about like our parent company and us as a global company. And then moving on to Toyota Boshiku America, which is us. So our history started in 1987. We were a joint venture called Trim Masters, Inc. Between one of the partners that became Toyota Boshiku and Johnson Controls, if you've heard of them, and then Toyota Tusho. And then from 1997 to 2001, the 3 companies basically each established American divisions. And then in 2005, they merged to create what is today TBA. So we have many locations, manufacturing locations throughout North, Central, and South America. So TBA Erlanger and TBA Novi, the two items in red, and then Silicon Valley are what we refer to as our headquarters. So Erlanger is basically our administrative office. It does accounting, HR, corporate strategy, things like that, and then also some centralized purchasing and sales groups. Novi is our R&D center, which is in Novi, Michigan. And then Silicon Valley is a relatively new approach with us where where we want to be close to the IT world because, of course, thinking about autonomous, and just think about your car, how much more it can do from an IT perspective. I mean, who would have thought a few years ago that you could make a phone call and talk to your car and hear the voice talking back to you through the speakers. And then we have various plants throughout Canada, mostly the eastern United States, and then in Mexico, Brazil, and Argentina. So a little about each of the facilities. So I've already kind of talked about these three, but this is what we call as the home office. You can see Erlanger has about 350 team members. And you can see the groups that we have there. And then our R&D center is about 195 members between the two locations. We also have some other manufacturing facilities that are in central Kentucky. So we have a plant in Lebanon, Kentucky that does silencer pads, which basically goes in to make your vehicle kind of make sure it's not loud when you're driving down the road. And they also do service bumpers. So if you ever back into something and crack your bumper open, if you're getting a factory Toyota bumper, this is where it's coming from. It's coming from our facility. Our Bardstown facility, which has about 295 people, they do door trims for Camry and Lexus ES. And then they also do some other sub-assemblies. And then our Harrodsburg facility, which has about 100 team members, is recently been converted into our North American Service Parts Center. So all of the service parts that go down the road to TMS and Hebron actually come from that facility. So our two biggest plants in the United States are in we call it the Indiana region, but you can see one of them's in Indiana, one of them's in Illinois. It's in Lawrenceville, Illinois, which is literally like 5 minutes across the state line. So Toyota Boshaku, Indiana, it has about 1,000 team members. It does Sienna and Highlander seats and various components that go over to the Illinois plant, which also does Highlander seats and also doors, and then Sequoia. It has the number's a little bit higher than this. It has a little bit over 900 team members now. Then we have a couple of plants in Tennessee. So Toyota Boshaku, Tennessee, which is in Jackson, Tennessee, has about 250 team members. They do mostly stamping and welding components that go to our other various plants. So a lot of what they make are, when you look at them, you wouldn't recognize what they are. They're just pieces of metal, but they're going into components, and we turn them into seats, basically. And then TBDN Tennessee Company, which is a joint venture that we have with Denso. They do filtration parts, so the unit parts and the engine parts that I was talking about, that's what they make there. It's also in Jackson, Tennessee. The two plants are about 5 minutes apart. In our Mississippi region, we have Toyota Boshaku, Mississippi, and then another joint venture called Systems Automotive Interior. In this plant, they do the Corolla door and seat, and then they also do the door and tailgate for the Daimler, MLC, and GLE. We have two plants in Canada. One's in Woodstock and one's in Elmira. The Woodstock plant has about 440 team members, but it's getting ready to expand significantly. We're going to be doubling the headcount up there. They do RAV4, so very popular vehicle right now with Toyota. And in our Elmira facility, they do the Lexus RX. And then in our Mexico facility, the primary product that we do here is trim cover. So basically what you actually sit on, the fabric or the leather that you have in your car. We have 3 facilities that do this, 2 in the city of Torreon and 1 in the city of Chavez. You can see these are very big plants with lots of team members. So the trim cover activity is highly manual. It's a lot of, think about just line after line after line of sewing machine and people just taking them and sewing one piece after another after another. That's basically what those plants look like. And you can see we do the trim covers there for pretty much every vehicle that we manufacture the seats for. And also at our Torreon 2 facility, we do the trim covers for BMW X5 and X6. In South America, we have 3 plants. We have Toyota Boshaku Argentina and Sotec Argentina. Both of those are in Argentina and Buenos Aires. They do a Hilux, which is kind of a pickup truck type of thing, and SUV. There's two different models for it. And then in Sotec, they do the trim covers for that. So that's a relatively new plant for us. And then we have Toyota Boschco do Brazil in Sorocaba, Brazil, which does seats, door trims, instrument panels, various products for Toyotas and some GM products as well. So, of course, that's a lot about manufacturing and what we do, but one of our core values of our company is philanthropy and giving back, and something that personally I'm very passionate about as well. So I wanted to highlight some of the things in Erlanger specifically that we've done that we do each year. So we're involved in Big Brothers Big Sisters. We do the Lunch Buddies program there. Horizon Community Fund, which is relatively new, just launched kind of Northern Kentucky Action Committee for activity. We're involved with the Boy Scouts. We do an annual backpack drive that we kind of lead. We packed 430 backpacks this year and distributed them to various schools. We're involved in the United Way campaign each year through the bigger Cincinnati area region. Japan America Society, of course, that's something that we're going to be involved in. New Perceptions, which is down the road, they help with mental illness and giving jobs and finding job placements or giving activities for them, and then a number of other things as well. So you can see we're dedicated to involvement. We want to be a part of the community wherever we are. So whether that's Erlanger or any of the plants that we do, we definitely encourage our plants and our team members to get involved and to give back where we can. So lastly, I just want to say that we really appreciate the relationship that we've had with the city over about 10 years now. So I started at the company in 2008. It wasn't too long after we came to the facility that we're at over on Dulwick now. And we've had a really good relationship with the city, and we look forward to many more years with you guys. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We certainly appreciate you as well. TBA has been a wonderful community partner. Are there any questions for Mr. Hunt? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, then next on our agenda, we've got the KLC Friends of Kentucky Cities presentation. Mr. Cheney?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council. I'm J.D. Cheney. I'm the Deputy Executive Director for the League. It seems like we make this trip about once a year, and that's a very good thing, that you all have legislators up here who are engaged and going to battle for city governance. And I think you can attribute that to one thing. We've got engaged elected officials and employees up here from a city perspective who are keeping the legislators informed, more so in this region than you find through rest of the state. So I hope I don't bore you too much by keeping coming up here, but it'll be a good thing if I keep coming up here to give legislators awards. That means they're going to bat for you all. You all know that the League, you all are all active in the League, doesn't have a PAC. We don't give any awards or endorsements or any silly report cards based on a legislator's performance. We don't do any of that stuff. But what we can do is recognize those legislators that actually go to bat for city government, either by sponsoring legislation off the legislative agenda or defeating legislation that does harm to the concept of home rule and local control, which is constantly under assault in Frankfort. And tonight we get the opportunity to do that with Representative Diane St. Onge, who last session became chairwoman of the Small Business and Technology Committee. I guess that was in 2017. You actually took that chairwoman spot over, and sponsored legislation dealing with drones that impacted us acutely from a couple of perspectives. Law enforcement, and I don't know whether Erlanger does yet, but several law enforcement agencies now employ drones. This confirmed the ability to use drones in the law enforcement activities, but not to violate any constitutional rights in doing so, confirming that process in state statute, and protecting our critical infrastructure. In another piece of legislation related to drones, we have a lot of curious folks sometimes who fly those drones that want to take pictures and look at a lot of the critical infrastructure in the Commonwealth. So creating a permission process for that and embodying that in state law was a very big deal for us off of our legislative agenda. Let me mention as well, she consistently championed the concept of separating CERS from the Kentucky retirement system, and it is an issue that our board of directors is not going to give up on. So having allies like that that will continue that fight as that goes along, she is a valuable ally in that effort, and consistently, based on her service as a councilwoman herself in Lakeside Park, has been a large defender of home rule, local control, embracing that concept that you all are in the best seats to make decisions that affect you locally rather than have people from Elkhorn City in Pike County make decisions for people in Erlanger. It just doesn't make sense. So I thank you for giving us this venue to recognize Representative St. Onge for the league to do that, and congratulate her on the board of directors selection as a friend of city, and join me in congratulating her for that honor. Thank you all.
Thank you, JD. Thank you to the KLC. This really means a lot to me. You know, our cities are really the fundamental, the backbone of the rest of the Commonwealth. And those of you that are in these positions here hold a very, very important duty and responsibility to the folks you represent. And what JD said is so important. We only know of issues in all of the cities. The areas that we represent encompass so many different cities that it's hard to know. If you're going back home to Fort Wright, where I live now, I hear what's going on there. I might not necessarily hear what's happening in Erlanger, perhaps, but by you coming to me, to talking to you're represented by a couple of different legislators, and letting us know, you know, what the issues are, what's of main concern to you. We appreciate that, because that's how we know what to focus on and try to help in the best way that we possibly can help. So keep up the great work. You know, our cities are such a blessing. The independence of the cities, the personalities that each of our cities have, I think contributes so much to the greater whole of our region, our Northern Kentucky region, and also the Commonwealth. So thank you again so much. This is really a huge honor to me, and thank you for allowing us to have this here. Appreciate it very much.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be with us here tonight. All right, next we've got a proclamation, and to save a little bit of time, I'm not going to read the whole proclamation. I'm just going to let everybody know that we are making October 7th through 13th Fire Prevention Week. And our fire department is celebrating the entire month as Fire Prevention Month. And Kevin Burke had mentioned to me, thank you for reminding me, that this month is also Cancer Awareness Month, hence his pink shirt. All right, do we have any citizens that are signed up to speak? All right, we've got Mr. Chisenhall. Okay. Is there anybody else that didn't get a chance to sign up that would like to speak this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the mayor's report. A couple quick items I wanted to mention. Mr. Cahill is not here, but I know the OKI board meeting is October 11th. I want to remind that again, because they're going to be talking about the grants, the new sidewalk. We applied for a Narrows sidewalk grant, and I know Mr. Cahill had mentioned that he was going to provide email addresses to the board members so that we could try to vie for support of our project. I wanted to also mention that the Eagle Scout Bocce Court is tentatively scheduled for October 20th. weather permitting. And also to say that Ed Bailey has submitted for a $15,000 grant for park equipment. The intent would be that this would help to fund the Misty Creek Park improvements. That is a grant through Kaboom, Dr. Pepper, and Snapple. It actually sounds like yeah, well, if we win the grant, I'll talk more about that. And that's all I had to discuss this evening. Do we have any reports of the committees? Actually, I take that back, I'm sorry. Mrs. Sudkamp, Mrs. Kyle, could you give us a public safety police report?
Okay, Todd Rice reported that we had another great month. He was able to attend the Kenton County Alliance, Northern Kentucky Mental Health Board meeting, Human Trafficking Task Force, and Midwest Gang Conference. He met with the director of Northern Kentucky Montessori in reference to school safety, along with Detective Lowe, excuse me. He also met with the Erlanger Baptist Village residents for a question and answer session about what is occurring with the Erlanger PD and address concerns for safety that they all had. Two other great events that they attended were the Erlanger Ellesmere Community Block Party and the 27th Annual Heritage Day. Both events were great opportunities for them to reach out to the community. Clerks Lucy Riffle, Lisa Hucker, Tactical Officer Shirley Peck, and the police social worker Becky Strauss were great assets in making these successful events. In fact, they made all of the child ID, which is a very labor-intensive task, and during the two events, they actually were able to make approximately 150 IDs for the children at their parents' requests. So that's an awesome job. And then our most recent Coffee with a Cop event was at Silver Lake Recreation Center. Had another great turnout, and were able to reach out and meet with several new people from several different communities. And then last, Cash Express employees brought a cake in to show their appreciation to the Erlanger Police Department. And that's all I have. Ms. Sudkamp?
Yes, ma'am. Our Police Explorer program is growing by leaps and bounds. What great kids these are. Oh my gosh. Well, they've invited 2 new members to the group, Zach Sarah and Thomas Doherty. Along with the 2 new admissions, Logan Gebhardt was promoted to the rank of lieutenant. Aletha Brown and Athena Brown, they're twins. Actually, they're triplets, but the girls are twins. I don't know, are they still triplets if there's only 2 of them? There's 2 girls and a boy. I don't know, whatever.
That's triplets.
But they were promoted to the rank of sergeant. Members were present to help with the Heritage Day celebration and also has participated in most of the Coffee with a Cop events. The Explorers also have an additional 4 young men who have been attending meetings and are just beginning the application process. Great kids, and we need that. Those are our future. I need the chief to tell me what ECAT stands for. Okay. The Erlanger Anti-Crime Movement, which you will be hearing a lot about later on in months to come, addressed 2 citizen complaints this month, and both cases resulted in arrests. The police department was recognized at the Erlanger Board of Education meeting for their highly successful Fill a Cruiser event last month. Officers and their babies and their wives were interviewed for the Ben and Pickler show. This will air sometime in October. More positive press for the city, for sure. Anyway, and I want to announce that on October the 13th, Coffee with a Cop will be held at the White Castle, and they will be accepting donations for breast cancer research.
That's at 9 a.m.?
9, Chief? And Chief is in the house. October 13th.
I just wanted to let you know that for the month of October, all officers are wearing pink undershirts on their uniforms. They were provided to us from the Erlanger Ellesmere FOP, paid for them, so no tax dollars. So we'll be wearing those for the month if you see guys around.
That's great. Are
Any
you here to
questions?
model them for us this evening? Is that what?
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief. All right, Fire and EMS, Mrs. Pitts, Mrs. Fetty.
The fire department did some training on ventilation and forcible entry on the old list house before it was torn down. They also taught or attended the Northern Kentucky Technical Rescue Team Rope Rescue Technician course and as well as other training for the month. They participated in fire hydrant testing. They attended the Erlanger Ellesmere block party where the kids loved climbing on the trucks while they were learning fire safety. They had their Heroes with Heroes event at Greek to meet all the residents around, and hopefully we'll do another thing like that again. Cash Express also gave our firefighters a cake, as well as Madonna Manor brought them food and treats to thank our first responders on a recognition of 9/11. The Erlanger Fire Department EMS also received the 2017 Department of Homeland Security Assistance to Firefighters Grant for $171,004. This will be used to purchase a new self-contained breathing apparatus. Thanks to Assistant Chief McQuarrie for submitting the grant, Lieutenant Godsey for chairing the SCBA committee, as well as all the members who tested the different demo units, and Assistant Chief McQuarrie's in the house.
All right, thank you.
I do want to say one thing. The grant that was $171,000 was not for equipment that they wanted to have. That was actually budgeted in their budget this year. So that's $171,000 they'll be given back. So I mean, that's great. It's not just a fun toy they're getting. It's stuff that we needed anyway, and they did a good job. And actually, I think, Dave, you were the one that applied for it, so we appreciate the $171,000 savings. So thank you.
It's fantastic. Thank you. All right, next we've got Public Works, Mr. Skidmore.
Yes, the Silver Lake Tennis Court, his surface has been completed. It's currently painting, and it will be finished in mid-October. Erlanger Road construction is still ongoing. The Narrows and Nelson has been closed off. All of the pavement has been removed, and the storm sewer pipe is being installed. Street sweeping is ongoing. The leaf collection program is scheduled to start October the 22nd. Mr. Glenn has developed a little pamphlet. I don't know whether everybody's seen this or not. And it's all the streets in Erlanger, and they're in alphabetical order, and the dates that they're going to do this street sweeping. I think there's like 205 streets. There's quite a few. And I had a resident over on Sunset. He's complaining about the speed in front of the school. He would like for me to bring it up to see how everybody felt about putting speed humps in front of the school. And I don't know how everybody feels about that, but or whether it's ever been, brought up.
I think I would largely divert that to, or at least listen to what Public Works has to say. I know in the past, Mr. Bogard told me that if we ever put speed humps in, that he would crucify me.
I know that they have them down on Lindale and Edgewood, and it slows the traffic down a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, it's something that, if you want to look into it, that's, whatever y'all feel like's the best.
Yeah, we get that request a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, because it is effective. I think the problem is that when they hit it with the snow plows,
Oh, okay.
is
That's a
they
good
get,
point.
back at their teeth jerked out of their head.
Yeah, okay. I'll bring that to his attention when I see him again.
Mr. Biak said there's also an issue with bicyclists at night hitting them.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, right. Sounds dangerous enough. You should expect that, right?
And Mr. Glenn's in the house. Do you have anything to add? All right, thank you.
Okay. Again, you said it was on Sunset near, in the school area?
Yeah, in front of the school.
Is there a possibility maybe we could put the radar sign up? Okay, thank you.
Sunset.
Sure. Oh, okay. There's not currently a stop sign? Okay. That'd be good. Another stop sign that people could complain about people running through. Okay. Sorry. Okay. I think maybe if we start with the speed sign,
Okay.
and see if that helps, and then we can entertain these other options. Do we want to talk about it in a committee meeting?
That's fine.
Okay. All right, we'll put that on the agenda for the committee. All right. If there's nothing else then, Mr. Glenn, then we'll move on to administration. Mrs. Skidmore, Mrs. Cahill?
Yes, I'd like to announce the upcoming events. And we have the largest one probably of the month, which is the Halloween Carnival and Beetlejuice movie. It's at the Depot Park from 5:30 to 9:30. They'll start at 5:30 with the games, DJ Beetlejuice Magician, concessions. At 7:15, we will show the movie Beetlejuice. During the movie, we will provide free popcorn and punch. This is a huge event, so be prepared for a lot of traffic and no parking, and et cetera. And then Camp Cosmos, which is also at the Depot Park, is on, Halloween Carnival's 10:13. Camp Cosmos is the next day, 10:14. And this program is in partnership with the library and will include assembling and launching paper rockets with compressed air, an astronaut training course, a solar telescope, moon sand, crafts, and make your own jetpack. So that's probably really interesting for the kids. Then on 10/20, Star Party at Flagship Park. It's from 7 to 8:30, and they'll let you know. There will be a makeup date for it if it is. And members from the Cincinnati Conservatory will bring their telescopes to Flagship Park to view the stars, moon, and planets. The city will provide glow necklaces for all the kids. Renee?
The Administration Department would like to request a committee meeting on October the 16th to discuss garbage pickup or not pickup. And on November the 6th, we'd like to make a motion that that meeting date be changed to November the 20th because November 6th is the election night.
Okay.
And another thing,
Is this something we need to vote on?
tax bills have been mailed out. Pay early, take advantage of the discount, and anybody that's turning 65 in 2019, run down to Kenton County PVA and file for your discount. That's it.
All right.
So to clean that up, could you made a motion that we're bumping the meeting? Yes. All right.
Do you want me to repeat it?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like to make a motion that the city council meeting scheduled for November the 6th be changed to November 20th.
All right, we have a second. Okay, I'm sorry, a question?
That's the week of Thanksgiving. Would we be better off doing it the 13th? I mean, no?
Yeah.
What'd he say?
I think he said yes.
Actually, as one of the only people at the table not on a ballot, I think it'd be fun to just watch it right here during the meeting, the results. No?
No.
No? Matt thinks the same thing, right? I mean, just sit here, just like bring the popcorn. No? Bad idea?
I think Todd saying there's not enough security.
No? Not enough security?
Not on this property. Okay, so do we want to change the motion to the 13th? Or is that what you'd, Renee?
We discussed it at
I
the
think it was
committee
because it was the third Tuesday. Everything's first Tuesday and third Tuesday.
One day. I mean, 1 week.
Okay, what are we doing?
Yeah, it was a committee meeting. Yeah, it was discussed, it was never voted on.
Okay, so I think the idea would be either we meet the 13th and the 20th, or just the 20th, and do the committee meeting and well, I don't know. Make it all.
We can't do it on the 13th. We have a code enforcement board, I believe, that night from 7 to 9.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine.
I'm glad I checked that.
Okay. So
Do
we've
I
got
have to make it again?
No, we've got a motion that we make it the 20th. We just need a second. A second with Mrs. Fetty. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All right, motion carried.
That's it for our report.
Okay, thank you. And
Unless Sherry has
Mrs.
something.
Hoffman's in the house.
I just wanted to give an update on the museum attendant position at our Depot Museum. We did receive 31 letters of interest through Facebook, so we've reached out to them this week, and they will be submitting their applications. So we'll be going through all of those here soon.
Sherry, was that huge increase because of some of the differences you made in the actual requirements?
So what happened was, we didn't actually get anybody that applied here at the city, but it was put out on Facebook, and somehow Facebook generates like a job application process, and people reached out that way. So nothing had been changed.
Okay. All right, if there's nothing else, then we'll move on to Finance and Business Development. Mr. Blankenship, Mr. Montgomery.
Thank you. The auditors have completed their field work and are currently working on preparing a draft of the audit report. After we receive the draft, we will proof the document and complete the management discussion, the analysis, and the transmittal letter. In addition, we have all received the related party questionnaire through your emails. If you can complete that questionnaire, submit it as quickly as possible. That's necessary for the audit as well. Thank you. That's all I have. Mr. Montgomery?
I have nothing to add.
Mr. Bodie? Thank you.
All right, then Codes, Building, and Zoning. Mr. Burke, Mr. Nicely.
Got a couple of things. We got a company that's wanting to put a pet hotel down at the Kroger Plaza area. And it's a neighborhood commercial, which is not permitted to put a dog hotel there. So we want to have see if we can have it, what is that, the 16th committee meeting of October? Is that the next?
Yes.
Committee meeting?
Yes.
I'd like to call a committee meeting for that, to discuss that. And we've got another company that wants to open a tattoo parlor. And I believe it's up at where the old one was at, wasn't it, Dave? Right, correct, you guys? They're here. But I know there was one there before, but since it's been a year, it's not grandfathered anymore. So we need to set up a committee meeting on that also for the 16th.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yes.
You guys are welcome to come the 16th, 7 p.m., correct?
That's right.
All right? Talk, ask questions, whatever. We'll all be here. All right? And Mr. Hahn did send out all the reports. If anybody's got any questions, please get a hold of him. And Mr. Hahn is here. You're beautiful, Dave. Thank you. End of report. Unless you have something, sir. I do. You good? All right.
All right, thank you. All right,
Mayor, we got a question.
yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, sir. I inadvertently forgot to make a motion that Do we have time on the 16th for personnel issues with the police department?
To have it, to go into executive session?
No, just at the committee meeting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, great. I make a motion.
Okay, thank you. I don't know that we need to,
second?
I don't think we need one. We don't need one.
we'll put it on the
He
agenda.
said we did. He's the boss, I'm not.
He just put
Okay, great, thank you. All right, so you've heard the reports of our committees. Do I entertain a motion that we adopt as presented? Motion by Mrs. Kyle, second by Mrs. Sedkamp. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. All right, motion carried. All right, next we've got the reports of representatives. Are there any reports this evening? Mrs. Kyle?
Well, Heritage Days was a big success, and we need to thank the Historical Society and all the members, and Pat and Paul Hahn have been doing that for years and years, so kudos to them also. But anyway, here is a list of people that we would like to thank. First of all, those who served on the Heritage Day Committee. Secondly, the Erlanger and Ellesmere Public Works Department, especially Kevin Quinn. They always do a phenomenal job. The cities of Erlanger and Ellesmere, thank you. All the vendors, volunteers, and they were from everywhere. And we can't do it without these volunteers. The City Honor Guards, the Lloyd High School Band, and the Lloyd High School Chorus. And on that day, 370 people actually went through the museum. So that's really great.
Wow.
And then 78 people used the shuttle bus that we had provided for us. And as I mentioned, Pat Hahn, this was her 25th year as chairperson. God love her. I mean, I did it one year for 2 days, and I told her I said never again. So she should be sainted for that. And then the Historical Society raised $300 from the booth rentals because we had a lot of nonprofit booths that, we don't make any money on. And then our next meeting will be October the 10th at 7 p.m. at the Depot Museum. Thank you. And Ed Von Eye and Pat Hahn have taken 8 families through the museum over the past few months, and tours are still available by request until the museum reopens. And that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Any other reports? Mrs. Skidmore?
Okay, this is the Kenton County Alliance report. Mary Birch, retired school nurse for Erlanger Ellesmere School Systems, gave a summary of Kenton County Alliance. Kenton County, Bracken County, and Silver Grove received a $2.25 million CARA literacy grant. The grant was applied for by Dr. Kathy Burkhart, Mary Birch, and Vicki Dansbury. Kenton County Alliance was established in 2009 and received a grant that was good for 5 years. 2010, the KIPS survey was initiated. 2011, drug take-back boxes were first started in Kenton County. 2012, all public schools in Kenton County had a drug program. 2013, build strong relationships, parents, school, PD, health groups, faith groups, and youth groups. 2014, decreased alcohol use, sticker shock, going strong. 2015, the Silhouette program was initiated, the Metamorphosis Butterfly program for the younger school grades, and the tank bus ads were started. In 2016, we still had lots of work to do. The common thought then was that pot is not harmful. 2017, other county coalitions are on board with prevention methods. In 2018, the DFC funding is ending and the challenge continues. Diane O'Toole, director of the Kenton County Alliance, introduced Miss Kentucky, Katie Bouchard. Miss Bouchard spoke about her accomplishments. Her goal is to educate on how to lower suicide numbers. She is paid by the Kentucky Department of Agriculture. I thought that was kind of interesting. And Chris Connors from the Northern Kentucky Strike Force summed up his talk by saying that fentanyl came into America in about 2004, and it is killing America. There are 128 types of fentanyl. And that's the end of the report. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Save the date. Please join the Northern Kentucky Agency for Substance Abuse Policy for a regional discussion and network opportunity. Here, specialists provide information, lead discussions, and answer questions on marijuana prevention and outline factors contributing to the debate of medical marijuana. That's Thursday, October the 4th, 7:30 a.m. for networking, 8 to 9:30 a.m. for the program, and that is at the Boone County Historical Courthouse at 2988 Washington Square in Burlington. Now it's the end of the report.
All right, thank you. I wanted to go ahead and make people aware, at the Kenton County Mayor's Group meeting, there was a representative from the Northern Kentucky Water District there and letting us know that they are going to be requesting a rate hike. Back in January 2017, they took a 4.5% increase. And this fall, they are planning to take a 5.5% increase. And next fall, another 5.5% increase. Okay, Mr. Kramer just informed me that they just approved the 5.8% increase for this year. So another 5.5% expected next year. It's a lot of increases. So we may want to, if you see a representative from.
I think it's about $1.58 a month is what the average bill we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. And also, just a quick reminder that October 4th is going to be the mock disaster active shooter at Beechwood. So it's going to involve the county, a lot of the surrounding cities. There's going to be a lot of activity going on. I mean, they're going to carry it out. You know, there's going to be actors, you know, with blood and all kinds of stuff. I mean, really practicing to make sure that everything's working. It is. Yeah, they've been practicing it they've been planning it for a long time here. And that was all I had from the mayor's report. Any other reports from representatives? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the reports of city operations. First up, the city engineer, Mr. Viox.
Only thing I have this evening, sir, is I'd like to point out that the Public Works Department employees and the engineering department have kept the contractors on schedule. Surprisingly, I'm sure you all saw in the news where we're almost 11 inches over the annual rainfall, but we've been able to have good contractors this year, and we are on schedule for almost all of our projects. That's all I have.
All right, thank you. Next, our city attorney, Mr. Gatlin.
It's a relatively light night for legislation. All that's on tonight is a municipal order making the sale or disposition of property. And we can talk about it later, but you can look at the spreadsheet and see that it certainly appears that police is doing some house cleaning. That's all I have, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. City council attorney, Mr. Wickman.
Thank you, Mayor. I do have one item to discuss. Thank you. And that is the dilapidated property at 3206 Holbert Avenue has been scheduled for sale on November 13th. My recollection is that back in November or December, this property was discussed and it was concluded, and I was directed to proceed to bid on that property up to an amount that will not cost the city any extraordinary amount, so that we can take title to the property and tear it down and then offer the property for sale. So that's what I intend to do, unless you all want to have some discussion about that. If you do, I would recommend you do it in an executive session.
And so has there been a cost-benefit analysis on the property?
I thought that was done in November, December. I do recall that the staff examined it and recommended demolition of the property.
Okay. So is there a need to go into executive session?
That's all I have.
Okay. So are we giving Mr. Wickman the approval? Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then the city administrator, Mr. Kramer.
Yes, sir. Just, let's see here. We did receive back from the Commonwealth Avenue research we did. We sent out 68 letters to everybody on Commonwealth Avenue when there was a request for a zoning amendment. The council at the committee meeting, or I think it was council meeting, requested that we contact everybody and get their feedback. It was sent out on the 7th of September. They were given 10 days to respond. We've got 17 who returned comments, which is about 25% of what we sent out. 2 were in favor of it, 13 were not in favor, and 2 needed more information to give us a verdict. So the only thing I'm asking now is, do we want to bring this to a committee meeting? Do we want to table it for now, for future, or what does council want to do at this point? I forget who requested the letter. So if somebody wants to continue this into a committee meeting, if not, we will just hold on to the results until it gets brought up again.
Doesn't look like we've got any response.
Okay, we'll maintain the results in case it comes up here in the future. The only other addition is we're continuing, Mr. Glenn and I are continuing to work with Duke on the Riggs Road and the substation expansion. We were notified last week that the $10,000 grant was rejected from Duke. I'm not sure if it's Duke or Duke's affiliate, but we do have a meeting scheduled with them next week to determine the path moving forward. So we will, I've been assured that just because the grant was not there, it doesn't mean that we're not going to still get that money. It'll just have to be a different avenue. So we'll continue to work that aspect of it. Pending anybody's questions, that's all I have.
All right, seeing none. Oh, do you have a question? Okay. All right, and then we'll move on to correspondence. Mrs. Hoffman, is there any correspondence this evening?
No, sir.
All right, then any bids?
No, sir.
Okay. Any old business? I'm sorry, did I old business? Okay, thank you.
I'm not sure if this qualifies under old business, but I'll just stick it in there. So the closure of Narrows and Nelson's been in effect for about 2 weeks now. And since I live on that side of town and I walk and run a lot, I get to speak to a lot of people about issues going on over there. So I just wanted to bring up some issues that they wanted me to bring up to council. The biggest issue that I'm hearing a lot of complaints about, and personally I've seen it myself, is people are flying like 50 miles an hour, 45, 50 miles an hour through Deer Chase and through Buck Hill and Doe Ridge, and they are running those 2 stop signs. The stop sign at Doe Ridge and Buck Hill, and the stop sign at Thorntree and Deer Chase. They're not even slowing down, they're just flying right through it. So I didn't know if the police or somebody could keep an eye out, but there's a lot of kids out in both those neighborhoods, and a ton more traffic now. So that was the biggest thing everyone wanted me to bring up. Also, the people on Doe Ridge and Buck Hill in that section where they're building, they're having a lot of issues. One day they had their street blocked off. They were blocked in and they weren't told. Like they would have liked to have had notice they could get their cars on the other side so they could get out. One man's dog fence was the electric fence or whatever, they made him take it out with no notice. Okay. And they are also saying that construction on Saturdays is starting at 6 a.m. with all the noise, and they didn't know if they could maybe on Saturdays at least start it later. So these are just things that people have brought to my attention, so I thought I'd bring it up here. And that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Corinne, could you give them Public Works' phone number
Yes.
Because when that's happening, we want to know right away,
Okay.
just so they can go out and address it if it's active.
Okay.
Is there an ordinance that would prohibit times of work or the noise made or?
Yes, we do have
days?
an ordinance on that. Work's not supposed to start before 7. Is that correct, Peter? I'm pretty sure that's.
What about how late at night?
It does not say, that was one of the things in the pre-construction that was brought up. It does, from my recollection, I'll double check it, the ordinance does not specify an end time, but it does specify a start time.
I mean, to me, I think it would be something that if we just talked with the folks from Drees.
I
asked
asked them to be reasonable with the evening. I said, I understand you could push that if it's not specified, but it does need to be reasonable, and we can take action, I'm sure, at some point. But I'll double check that.
I'm just making sure I got all these. The hours of work, the dog fence, and the road blockage, and the speed.
Corinne, would you mind sending me an email with all that? I wrote it down, I just want to make sure I got it right. And if you have any names that we can contact, that would be helpful too, just so they know we're doing something. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other old business? All right. Any new business? Yes, Mrs. Sedkamp?
Yes, sir. A dear friend of the city in general, Mr. Charlie Martin, who was here faithfully to give our invocations month after month. He was the minister at Erlanger Christian Church for 22 years, which is unheard of. I mean, usually the ministers turn over every 5 or 6 years. Well, they had a celebration for him and a retirement party on Sunday that I was so privileged to attend. I've never seen so much love in a church in my life. And I just wanted everybody, if you run across him or see him, just wish him the very best in his retirement. He's a great guy, great guy.
Wonderful. Thank you. Any other new business? All right, then we'll move on to legislation. The only item we have here is a municipal order for surplus property.
This is a municipal order of the City of Erlanger in Kenton County, Kentucky, making the written determinations required by KRS 82083 for the sale or other disposition of property owned by the city. In summary, you can see the attached Excel spreadsheet, which lists various chargers, which due to their age and condition are being traded or transferred, and then various other equipment, which is being sold by electronic auction.
All right, do we entertain a motion to adopt this municipal order? Motion by Mrs. Kyle, second by Mrs. Sedkamp. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. All right, with that, then we'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Blankenship, second by Mr. Nicely. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Meeting adjourned.